Previously on Sailingterrapin, we're getting Terrapin ready to leave the dock by provisioning and going through routine checks. We took a tour of Terrapin's deck to show you all the new things that we've done through the winter, and then we also showed you how our Simrad autopilot decided to stop working.
Shut it off. Power off. So we just got our new Raymarine Evo autopilot. Our old autopilot died, and we went through a number of attempts to fix it. Tested the voltage, tested the system, tested the hydraulics, and it was done. At the end of the day, it was going to cost us close to what it was going to be for a brand new one to go get the old one repaired. So we went ahead and stepped up and now have an integrated system with the new Raymarine autopilot. So this is the computer. It's what everything plugs into. It's going to plug into our existing backbone of Raymarine gauges. This is a 3-axis compass, which again, we'll just plug into the back of the computer. And it tells the computer which way we're headed, the pitch, the roll of the boat, and it learns as we go. So it's a lot more advanced and sophisticated than our old Simrad. A couple of other things. This is the head unit. The head unit is going to give us the wind direction and going to allow us to sail a wind angle. So it's going to change the course of the boat as the wind changes, which is a nice feature. Previously, we always had to, if we were trying to sail close to the wind or we were sailing downwind and we were trying to sail a certain degree off, we had to keep an eye on our compass heading and keep an eye on how far off the wind we were and be able to change the autopilot manually by going back to the helm. Here, we're going to mount this unit right here where our depth and speed is, and then it's going to be plugged into the backbone, so depth and speed, which used to be there, will be visible on the chart plotter as well as on the instrument down below. But the nice thing is all the autopilot controls are going to be able to be manually used here, so you can enter turns of 1 degree, 10 degrees, tacks, jibes, as well as they'll also be here on the E7 multifunction display. So you can do everything in both locations, as well as monitor the depth and the speed down below. So it's going to give us a lot of redundancy. It's also going to give us the ability to sit back under the enclosure when it's cold, or like when we came from Newfoundland to Spain, had 7 days of heavy fog. It was very wet. Nobody really wanted to go back to the helm if you didn't have to, and you could sit in the enclosure, run the heater, and manage the autopilot from there. So that's going to make it really nice. The other thing we have is an ITC5, which takes the analog data that we get from our transducers on the speed, the paddle wheel on the speed that goes through the hull, and also on our wind instrument, the spinny anemometer on the top of the mast. We're going to be able to have that information go in, that analog information go into this unit and come out as digital, so it's then integrated into our entire system. So from our multifunction display, you're going to be able to see depth, speed, wind, speed over ground, GPS, and your autopilot functions. So it's going to be a nice new setup. The big issue is going to be whether or not the drive unit, which is this big sucker here, is going to easily fit into where the old Simrad was. It's not going to work. It's going to be difficult. It's going to require probably some stainless steel welding, some cutting into the aluminum base plate to make it all work. But we have 3 days to get it done before the sea trial, and we'll see how it goes.
What you doing?
Show you real quick.
So back in there is the new Raymarine drive unit, and it's kind of dirty. I gotta clean it up, and I haven't done the wiring yet. But it's installed on a bracket, and it's a mechanical shaft as opposed to the hydraulic setup we had before. It comes back to a metal arm, and this arm right here, I had to go get another hole drilled for the bolt that fits on the Raymarine. And then I'm almost completed the rudder sensor, the rudder position sensor. So that's right here. And what it will do is it'll tell us what the rudder angle is. And so I have to come in here, measure the right length, cut the bar, and then our rudder position sensor will be completed. Then I need to finish running the wires all the way back to the computer, and then I'll hardwire that into the computer. And so right now that's done right there, which is a large part of the work. There we go. That's the beginning of running the connections for our new gauges.
Awesome.
So here is the installation of the compass and the computer. The compass is down here under our bunk, and we have a lot of mess because we still haven't cleaned up everything. And the compass, the course computer compass, is back in one of the closets. And again, I need to stow some wires. With the compass here, power, clutch, rudder reference angle, all feeding into that from behind. And then we have our ITC5, which changes the analog to digital, up above us right there. And again, we'll clean up some of the wires and stuff, but right now that's a pretty good install. So we're back up in our cockpit, and we have the P70 autopilot control set up here. And like we said, the entire autopilot head unit is tied into our backbones. So you can sit in the cockpit and you can control the entire autopilot from our head unit here, or you can control it back at the wheel back here. So once it's in auto, you're able to give it, like for example, 10 degrees to starboard, and the wheel turned back there. For example, you can see it again. Give it another 10 degrees, and the wheel turns, which is great. So we'll put it back to center. You can load in a heading, it will follow the heading. You can also give it directions and make it go different routes. I don't know if you can see the wheel turning, but as I give it 1 degree, the wheel will turn, which is pretty nice to be able to manage everything from the cockpit.
One of the most important parts of Terrapin is her 70-foot mast. We always include a rig inspection as part of our prep, and sometimes we find something that could turn into a problem offshore if not taken care of. So I winched Baxter up the mast with a spinnaker halyard, and he checked every bolt, cotter pin, and fixture. Turns out our masthead light had a couple screws loose, probably a result of a seagull who needed a place to rest over the winter. Thankfully, Baxter tightened it all up and we were good to go. Also, we had a beautiful spring day in Plymouth, so we took advantage and had great shots of Sutton Harbor and the Mayflower Steps looking south into the English Channel. Next week on Sailing Terrapin, we say goodbye to Plymouth and head out to the English Channel.